Hub Media, Dave Scott. I'm with Blair from Norfolk County, who is the Public Transportation Business Development Coordinator. Blair, we haven't talked in a while, and I always appreciate when you take the time. I, I, right off the bat, we got to talk Ride Norfolk. I know there's lots of changes coming. Could you speak to the changes and the challenges that you guys have been through in the last couple of years?
Yeah, so the service has been doing really well. 2022, we had our highest ridership we've ever had. March of 2023, we had the highest ridership for a month that we've ever had. So the service has been doing really well. Um, there are some changes that are coming, and basically they're to address some of the challenges and gaps in service that we have right now. So
One of the ones that you guys really developed, and I really appreciate, is the Brantford Run. That
yeah.
one seems to be, a big goer for you guys. A lot of folks need that, especially if you've got appointments over there in Brantford and you don't have a vehicle. It's nice to have that service that can help out. So, is that was one of the things that sort of helped grow Ride? I'm just asking, did it?
Absolutely. Before we were able to launch Brantford, it was something I got the most calls about. People were always calling about how to get to Brantford, how to get to Brantford. So being able to launch that service was a huge help in the community. So that launched in 2019 with the Community Transportation Grant from the province. That grant is expiring, so come the end of 2025, we're looking for how we can continue that service because it is pretty vital to the community.
So, what are the challenges that you've faced in the last couple of years then with Ride Norfolk?
Mm-hmm. Um, the challenges change, but there are some consistencies. One is capacity issues. So, for example, there's a lot of international students that attend our local Fanshawe College, and a lot of them don't have a car and they use the bus. So, for them to get to class for 9 a.m., we'll have 18 kids waiting on the for the bus at the first stop in the morning, and that puts us at capacity. So because we're a fixed route service, that bus then needs to continue on its route, and unfortunately is not able to pick anyone else up as Fanshawe is more towards the end of the route. So that's one of our challenges is being able to get kids to school and even home again, as it's the same issue at about 4 p.m. when a lot of them leave. There's the amount of time on board is one of our challenges. It's being a fixed route service. In one vehicle, it can take quite a bit of time, even just within Simcoe, to get from one end of town to the other. The schedule is a bit confusing as well. We, have tried to maximize the service hours that we have to reach as many areas of the county as we can, but we are in different areas each day of the week. The direction that the bus goes in changes, so it can be a bit confusing to try and understand how to get from your point A to point B and back again. There's some missing areas that we haven't been able to service, even within Simcoe. And it's just due to the amount of time that we have, right, for our service schedule. So we are putting in new stops with the new service to be able to fill some of those gaps in areas so people don't have to travel so far to a bus stop. And then, as I mentioned before, the grant, the Brantford grant expiring is one of our biggest challenges. So those are kind of the five areas right now that we're trying to improve on with the launch of the new on-demand service.
And three of those problems that you have are good problems because there's growth, and that's tremendous. You've been at this a while, and I've watched it grow and had an opportunity to work with you on it, and it's amazing. Like it's developed over the years so well, and you hate to see funding get cut because it's a priority in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know you, and you're a smart cookie. So what are you going to do? How you? I know you'll find a way. So what's your plan? Let's talk. Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Yes. So the plan is to move from our current fixed route service to an on-demand bookable service. So what that does is it allows the bus to not stick to a set route, but be more flexible in terms of where it's going and when it's going there. So it does put more work on the rider as they do have to book now. They can't just stand at a stop and expect the bus to come. But they can book it through an app if they want to go that route. They can book it online on a website, but they can also call in to book. So we've tried to make as many options for the different riders and their different levels of comfort, so they can book the service.
And that will reduce time for them as well, will it not? Like if you're going from Delhi to Walmart or something, it should reduce some time, shouldn't it?
Absolutely. So right now, depending on the time of day that you're going, it could take up to 2.5 hours to get from the Delhi Library to Walmart.
Oh
That
wow.
that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time that people could be, using for other things and living their life, and not having to spend it driving around on the bus. So it will be a more direct route. There will be likely other people that get picked up along the way. As you know, it's not just for one person. It is public transit, and we do have space for 10 sitting on board. So we do hope to fill that and move people around a bit more. But it'll also open up the time of day that you're able to book. So you don't have to stick to set times, and a set schedule. It's a little bit more free as to when you need the bus.
It's interesting, and anything that reduces time, right, and gets more riders on the bus. That's the goal,
Yes.
and to show that you can help people. So I'm, you know me. Let's walk through this scenario. So I can just, if I'm in Port Dover and I want to get to Waterford,
Mm-hmm.
I call and I can say on Tuesday I need to be in Waterford at 11 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So walk me through it. So what happens then?
Yep, absolutely. So if you want to call, then you can call the phone number, and tell them you can set your departure time or your arrival time. So say you have a medical appointment in Waterford that day, for noon, and you want to arrive at 11:45. Then you would tell them I want to arrive in Waterford at this stop for 11:45, and they'll tell you what time you would get picked up, because there might be other people who have already booked. Um,
Ah,
on the bus. So, it might still take 30, 40 minutes to get from Port Dover to Waterford, but you would be there, not an hour and a half or 2 hours before your appointment time. It would be a lot more direct, and less time on board.
so do you tell me where the best stop is, or do I say I'll be at the parking lot spot in Port Dover, the main spot there, or do you say go to this spot? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so it would be a combination. If you're familiar with the service and know the stop that's closest to you, then you can let us know which stop it is. But we do try to provide really great customer service, and if it's your first time using it, we're more than happy to tell you which stops are available, and help you navigate booking a little bit better too.
When does this service begin?
So the service will fully launch on demand on July 17th.
Okay.
Um, Rides can be booked 45 minutes in advance,
Okay.
or up to 7 days. So if you know next week you have a medical appointment, then you could book that. So booking will open July 10th for the following week, but the service with the regular schedule, but come July 17th, it's on demand, fully bookable.
So if I book online, do I get a confirmation ticket or a QR code or something to scan when I get on the bus?
Yeah, so when you book, you do have to create a profile. So they will ask for your name, your email address if you have one. They'll ask for your address if you want to give that, just so we're able to tie it to a profile. If you want to use the app, you can pay with debit and credit. Those aren't available when you call. You can only pay with cash on board or with tickets, if you call to book in. But when you book, you can either give them your name to get on, or there'll be a special code that you're provided as well. And the driver will have that, and you just let them know, hey, I'm Dave Scott, and they'll say, great, and mark you as boarded.
Okay, cool. Um, and this transition period that we're in right now, when will that number be available to call, or is it already out there?
It is already out there. We've launched this in two phases. So Brantford is available for booking now. That
Okay.
launched on May 1st, so you can call to book for Brantford right now. Um, but
And
yes. Mhm.
we'll put that number below the screen so folks it'll run for the whole video, folks, so you can just give it a shout if you want. Is that the same number you call with questions? I guess it would be, wouldn't it?
No, so
No?
there's um, We started with a new contractor, Voyago, in January, and they do have a call center.
Oh,
So rides can be booked through them. But if there are questions about using the app, any issues, if you have feedback, then you can call me, and we can provide that phone number as well.
and we'll give you her personal cell number, folks. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
anytime.
Those 3 a.m. calls are always the worst, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, no, 8:30 to 4:30, you can call me.
Uh, I mean, this is a long time in the making. I know that you've sort of had to, this was a process. You had to think this through and figure out what would work best. But looking at it long term, you see this as obviously as a growth pattern. The way you want to keep that growth going, correct?
Absolutely. So we are doing this as a 1 year pilot. It's
Okay.
test it out, see how it works. If we find Simcoe isn't working, it really should be fixed route, then we can look at making those changes uh, down the road too. But we are going to try it for 1 year this way, and see if it really does solve the problems that we're facing right now. So, yeah.
Can you share a couple positive stories? Because I know you've worked hard at this and you've helped out folks that were truly in need of rides, especially during the pandemic and
Hmm.
all the stuff we've been through. I mean, you've been at this job a while. So share some of the positive stuff that you've seen because it does make an impact in Norfolk.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was a gentleman in a wheelchair who needed a ride. He was going to, I believe, Hamilton for a medical appointment. So he used our service to get to Brantford, and then continue on from there. So that was really positive. We have other people who like to go fishing in the mornings in Port Dover. So far, we haven't really been able to help them as our service starts in Port Dover. We don't have a pick up in Simcoe beforehand, whereas now they'll be able to go fishing in the morning in Port Dover. So I'm excited to be able to help them out. It's also been exciting to see the growth with Fanshawe and the international students.
I was
Like
going to ask you that.
there's so many of them here, and it's great to be able to help them. And hopefully, this will be able to help them even more. Um, there's some areas we're not able to service that we now can. Some of our riders say, can you put a stop here? It's really far for me to walk. So we did. We heard. It's always good to hear that feedback. If people don't call and tell me what the issues that they're facing are, then it's hard to solve those problems. So I'm always happy to hear feedback from riders and what they would like to see and what they need the service to be so it works for them.
Wow, it's a big undertaking too when you're doing this transition. But thanks for taking the time and sort of leading us through it. Is there anything you want to finish with?
Yeah, so if anyone's looking for more information, we'll be doing some information sessions we'll be at each of the library branches the week of June 19th and again the week of July 10th between 1 and 2. So if you're interested in booking a ride or learning more, then I encourage everyone to come meet me and we can walk through the process together.
She's a lot of fun, folks. So go meet her. Hang out with Blair and have some fun and talk transportation. It's
I
her.
love talking. I could talk transit all day. I love
Yeah, it's her forte. She's got it all. So I appreciate you taking the time today to do this, and it's a really good opportunity for us, sort of, to give me an update on what's going on. I know that you work, like I've said before, you work hard at this, and I think what we missed for so many years in Norfolk. I remember as a kid there was buses in Dover. I'm not going to tell you my age, but to see it all come back and when Brad Smith started and you've carried on, it's needed. It's just needed, and it's such a tough time financially for a lot of folks. And Ride gives it an opportunity to get to those destinations and the medical appointments, the food, like just to get things done in your daily life. So thanks for all the work you do, Blair. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to. I love seeing this growth and this new exciting chapter that we're entering into, and hopefully it solves a lot of problems that people are having with transit in our community. I mean, we are a really large geographic region, and that's one of our biggest challenges too. Is how do you reach everyone when they want it? So hopefully this solves some of those problems and can be really great asset for our community.
Great. And we're, like I said, folks, watch the very end. We'll have some more information on the board here about how to get in touch with Blair and those open houses at the libraries that's coming up. Thanks, Blair. Take care.
Thanks, Dave. See ya.